Howdy folks, this is Esper coming at you with another Showcase League, playing against our very own Cosmerian. Today, I'm going to be playing a deck based around Stella Lee Wildcard. This commander is a 2/4 for 3 mana. It says when I cast my second spell each turn, I get to exile the top card of my library. Until end of turn, I can play that card, and I can tap her to copy an instant or sorcery I control. I can choose new targets for the copy, only if I've cast 3 or more spells this turn. So the actual sort of idea of this deck is that it's a blue-red tempo deck that gets all the best blue-red tempo cards, while also getting a little combo on the side. Stella Lee is going to be one of our main combo engine with that tap ability. Any instant or sorcery that includes untapping her as part of it is going to be able to do whatever else it does infinite times. So in this case, we're going to be running Cerulean Wisps, which will have a creature become blue, untap that creature, and draw a card for infinite card draw. Shore Up, which gives a creature +1/+1 and hexproof until end of turn, and untaps it for infinite power and toughness. And the one that actually kills them the best, Twisted Fealty. This is usually supposed to be a threaten effect, where you steal one of their creatures, untap it, and give it haste. And its special side effect is giving it a Wicked Roll. A Wicked Roll is an enchantment aura, which gives enchanted creature +1/+1, and when it's put in the graveyard, each opponent loses 1 life. So if we cast a Twisted Fealty, copy it with Stella, the new copy of Twisted Fealty will target Stella and untap her, giving her a Twisted Roll. Then, we copy it again as she's been untapped, create a new Twisted Roll token on Stella. Because you can only have 1 roll, one of those will die, and then each opponent will lose 1 life due to that effect, dealing infinite damage. Built in around this is a general core of cards like Expressive Iteration, Quarry Steelcutter, a Fear of Missing Out, Dragon's Rage Channeler, Broadside Bombardiers, Slickshot Show-Off, and one of our other powerful actual win cons, Underworld Breach. Now this one doesn't exactly win the game, not as easy as it would in something like Vintage. We don't actually play Brain Freeze, but we do play Frantic Search, which will effectively be a free spell, draw 2, discard 2, with Dragon's Rage Channeler, which can work as a sort of mill 3 for free, which is exactly the number needed for Breach. So we can properly go infinite with that, into putting our whole deck in the graveyard and exile. And on top of all that, we have the requisite number of wizards to be able to effectively play Flame of Aenor. Powerful card to copy with Stella. Powerful card to cast in the mid-game to pick up more cards. All these other free spells, like Urza's Bauble, Mishra's Bauble, Lotus Petal, and Gitaxian Probe, are great to trigger Stella, and to trigger Ledger Shredder, and to trigger Quarry Steelcutter. And on top of all that, over here in our mana base, we're going to look at a couple basic islands, and the support for a Mystic Sanctuary. Now this one can work against us sometimes. We do have 3 proper non-islands, an Islet, Command Tower, and Arena of Glory, but it seems effective enough to be able to keep in. Looking down over at our sideboard, we're going to have our blue Elemental Blasts, and a red Elemental Blast, our Grave Hate, our Moons, a Wrath, and personal, and a bit of a pet card for me is its Staticaster. This one being able to just pick off any number of 1-drops, and be able to stop a whole horde of cat tokens, insect tokens, any sort of little individual token, I found to be fairly effective. As well, Arena of Glory is good at setting up Stella Lee combo. We can play her in the same turn, play and activate her in the same turn. So if we do something like cast Stella Lee, cast Lotus Petal, cast Twisted Fealty with 5 mana, that'll immediately be the full win. And with that, that should wrap up our deck tech here. Let's get into the actual gameplay. Alrighty. Here on game 1, We're going to see a mulligan. We're going to see a pretty solid opening 7. See an expressive iteration and a Thundertrap Trainer. These are some good cards. We're seeing 3 lands. That's all pretty strong. We're also on the play here. Alrighty, opponent's keeping 6. We're just going to lead on this Flooded Strand. Probably go grab our Surveil land. We're going to see a Tamiyo. We're just going to get that off board. This card's extremely powerful, but ooh, not if it can't be cast. We're going to see a Mental Misstep in response, and that's going to work, forcing this Tamiyo throw. We're going to crack this strand. We're going to go grab our Thundering Faults. See if we can find a bolt off the top. Mystic Sanctuary isn't what we need. So we're going to untap, draw a main. Finding a Shore Up. That'll be nice for when we're trying to combo, but not quite yet. Let's just get this Thundertrap Trainer down. We're going to look at our top 4. We're going to find Underworld Breach, Ponder, Brainstorm, or Twisted Fealty. Fealty's the one that actually kills most easily, but it's also the most expensive with Stella. Underworld Breach is a very powerful card for this matchup. As much as I love Ponder and Brainstorm and think they'd be great, well, Underworld Breach kind of fights with this Abhorrent Oculus for space. I think we are supposed to take this Brainstorm, change our hand later in the game, or be good for storming off. We didn't find the bolt we want, which means the Tamiyo is going to be posing a real issue later. We're going to see a Tundra, we're going to see a Clue-Made, and we're going to see a pass back to us. We're going to untap, draw main. Let's fire off this iteration. We're going to look at our top 3. I think we're going to put this Petal in hand, hide this Ragavan, exile this Arid Mesa, get that into play, and we're going to say go. They're going to crack the Clue. We're going to fetch, go grab our Volcanic Island, and we are going to bolt this Tamiyo. That's going to work, and we can send it over. We now have enough in our graveyard to slam this Abhorrent Oculus with the Shore Up as protection. It is throwing out the combo a little bit more, but Brainstorm helps make that a lot better usually. Especially having protection for the eyeball. That has a pretty good chance to work. They don't really want our Lagrella or Thundertrap Trainer, because then we just get a card later. Mana Drain's a pretty nice hit. So we're going to get this Scalding Tarn down. I think we're going to cast Stella herself here. And we can get the eyeball down next turn. That'll resolve. We'll cast Petal, trigger our Stella. We'll flip an Underworld Breach. That'll be nice for next turn. We're going to see a Parting Gust on our Stella. I think we will go to protect this. We're going to just go find an island and cast a Shore Up, because this can be flashed back with Underworld Breach. So if they can't remove Stella, they can by playing Lagrella, but this forces their hand to. Then we can just get value from this Breach, especially with a Lotus Petal already in play. We're going to see that Lagrella cast. That's going to work. That's going to exile our Stella. Sending it over to us. Tap, draw main. Stock Up's a pretty nice hit. Let's cast our Underworld Breach. That'll resolve. We're going to see this Expressive Iteration, delving some spells. We're going to look at our top 3. Let's put this cutter in hand. Let's put this Spell Pierce on the bottom, exiling an island. Put that back in the graveyard. Play the island. We're going to crack our pedal for a red to cast this Lightning Bolt. Delving 1, 2, 3. We're going to have that target the Lagrella. We're going to see a quick Reflexes protecting that. This will go straight to the graveyard. Let's get a Brainstorm off. Move some cards around. Those are all pretty nice. Can set up this Abhorrent Oculus pretty well, I think, and we're not going to be casting this Mana Drain this turn or the Stock Up, so we can hide these, get the Brainstorm back in our grave. We can cast the Scataxian Probe. Take a peek what's going on over there. March Coatl, that's perfectly fine. And we can, oh, and we draw from that. Fine, picking our Mana Drain back up. Let's get the pedal down, delving a few more. We could burn this to cast Ponder, and then we'd only have 3 in our graveyard still, so we're just going to go to pass it. It's a pretty solid showcase of Underworld Breach, being the fair card. We're going to see the Arid Mesa. Oh, accidentally make a token of that, apparently. We're going to see the Coatl come back down. Alrighty. We're going to re-find our stock up. I think we are just going to get a Ponder off. Move some cards around. Finding a Flame of Aenor is pretty great. Keep these lands and Flame on top. Pick up that card. We have a Wizard in play. So let's get that Flame of Aenor off, giving us 2 cards and killing that Lagrella. That'll give us our Stella Lee back. We can get our land drop down, and now we're holding up Mana Drain. We can swing with our Thundertrap Trainer now. They'll take 1, and we'll pass it. They're going to go find that archive. So this is where the value side of Stella Lee comes in. Because if they can't remove her through our Mana Drain, we're just going to be able to cast our Steel Cutter, cast our Oculus, get a free card, get a token, get another 2/2. And even if in all that, if we go otherwise, we're going to see a Skyclave Apparition. So we're just going to fetch, go grab out our last fetchable, cast that Mana Drain. We're going to make a bunch of free mana. We're going to see a March cast, pitching a Felia, paying 2 mana. That'll exile our Stella. See, Stella's mere threat of comboing really forces other decks to play off balance. They've got to actually provide answers to our cards, while we can just still play the Fair Is It plan. And we've got 6 cards in our graveyard, so we can just cast this Eyeball now. We get our Monk token. We get our Thunder Trap. We get to delve 6. We get our Eyeball. And then even after all of that, we get to stock up. And so while we are finding all these great cards, we can pick up this Slick Shot Show Off, grab a Cerulean Wisps in case we need to combo, send these away. This creature right here is a 3/3 after all that. And now we get to attack for 4. And then we can just plot this Slickshot Show-Off. And we'll pass it. We get to manifest this DRC, put the Spell Pierce in the graveyard. We'll be able to get Delirium here just by playing out a land and cracking it. And that'll be game. Alrighty. That's a game 1 for sure.
Yeah.
That's...
I needed to keep Stella Lee off the field because...
Yep. No, that's really the power of Stella Lee. Where if she untaps with, especially if I have Counterspell backup, combo piece in hand, you just lose. And so in that case, you had to play awkwardly, burn a card to your march, get her off board, and I can just slam Eyeball, Corey Steelcutter, and Stalk Up in the same turn.
And then plot Slickshot.
And then plot Slickshot, because why not?
Yeah.
And when you had to march her, I didn't even have the combo, but you had to play around it.
Yeah.
Now, I think I could have found the combo because I had Stalk Up in hand, which found a Cerulean Wisps. But the sheer ability of this deck to sort of throw interaction and must-kill answers at the opponent is very nice.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's a strength that, like, if you're looking at other Izzet combo decks, stuff like Ral and Vivi don't have is that, like, pivot ability, right? Yep. You can't really build a Ral deck that plays like a Stella Lee deck.
Yeah. Ral is very much all in on the combo by its sort of nature. Vivi or Nidier can be sort of mixed, especially with Vivi being a payoff itself in the command zone.
Yeah.
But it's not sort of all in on the fair plan with a little sprinkling of combo like Stella Lee.
Yeah, for sure.
Because about every card I cast in that game besides Shore Up, it's just a pretty good Izzet Magic card. They're just all in normal decks.
Yeah.
And in matchups where you're not going to be able to combo at all, you can just cut those. You can just play Stella Lee, 3 mana, drop a bauble, get a free card, and threaten.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah, sideboarding's rough for this particular one.
Yeah.
Because there is some shenanigans, some chicanery that can happen with Lagrella. It's just Lagrella is a very slow deck by nature, and something like Stella Lee, which is that like nice mix of like can be aggro but also is very good at being controlling, makes something like Gorilla sweat a little bit because it's just so mana intensive and can be punished so easily, and can't really afford to.
Especially if I get down something like Broadside or a Slickshot Show-Off fairly early, and then I daze your answer to it. That's the legacy play pattern. That's just countering the Murktide Regent, get in there with your 3/2 Delver. Now, we're not playing actual Delver, but I mean, it wouldn't be the worst.
Yeah.
And I think that's about good for sideboarding. Alrighty. pop back off. See you after round 2. Alrighty, back on the draw this time. We've brought out a couple cards, namely Ragavan, because I don't trust it to actually get in this matchup. Frantic Search, because we don't need to be all in on the combo. And Snap, because their creatures already want to be in their hand. We've brought in mostly some Blood Moons, in this case. We're seeing a fine 7. We'd rather not have this Mystic Sanctuary in a hand with 3 non-islands, but Ledger Shredder, Ponder, Spell Pierce, that's all pretty good. We're going to see a turn 1 Guide of Souls. We're going to find a Scalding Tarn off the top. That's pretty nice. We can just get that in. That'll let us hold up our Spell Pierce, hold up fetching our Duel, and let our Arena of Glory enter untapped later. Arena's really nice in this deck, because later when you can cast Stella Lee, she actually needs haste to win, needs to tap. And if you do that with about 5 mana in play, you can just go all at once. We're just going to get our Surveil land. We're going to graveyard this basic island. We'll draw. Finding a Pyroblast off the top. That was the other card we've added. It's pretty nice. I think we are going to Ponder here. Looking at our top 3. We're going to find a Shore Up. Not great other cards, though. We aren't looking for a land, and we'd need to draw at least one of these. And Shore Up isn't quite what we're looking for right now. I think it's better to shuffle this one. We're going to find a Bauble off the top. That's pretty good. Let's just get this command tower down, and we'll pass it. Next one we can get Shredder, Bauble ready to trigger, with Spell Pierce Pyroblast back up. That will probably let us dump this Mystic Sanctuary. They're just going to pass it over to us. Tap, draw main. We're going to find a Flame of Aenor. That's obviously pretty great. Get our Arena of Glory down. Make sure we don't need to lose that. We're going to cast our Shredder. We're going to see a Mana Drain on that. Let's just hit that with a Spell Pierce. It's a bit less flexible than Pyroblast in this matchup. Shredder will resolve. No reason to cast the Bauble now. We've already cast our second spell this turn, so it wouldn't connive. Could see a Lagrella cast here, but that means it's not hitting our Stella Lee. We're seeing a fetch. Not sure exactly what that means. It could be a green-green card. Or they want to leave up a specific mana. Something like Veil of Summer, maybe. Grabbing a Tropical Island. Casting an Eternal Witness. Yep, that is a green-green spell. That'll work. Probably rebuying that Mana Drain. Sending it back over to us. We're going to untap, draw main. Let's get this Bloodstained Mire down. And let's cast Stella Lee. We're going to see a Blue Elemental Blast. We can certainly go grab our Volcanic Island. It's going to be worth it to Pyroblast this, trigger our Shredder. We're going to draw. We can dump this Mystic Sanctuary now. Pyroblast is going to resolve. Stella's in. We can't trigger her this turn because we've already cast our spell. But we can attack with our Shredder. And we can pass it over. We're going to see a Breeding Pool, Shocked In. We're going to see a Lagrella cast with mana ready to go. So this is a bit of a tricky situation. This is going to take out our Stella, pick up the Eternal Witness. Getting another energy for their guide. Dealing us 1 and sending it over. Tap, draw main. think we're just gonna see if we can bait out the Flame of Aenor by drawing 2 cards. Or bait out the Mana Drain. We are. That'll be countered. They'll have 3 mana on reserve. Let's cast the Bauble, trigger our Shredder. We'll draw, dump this... I think this Flooded Strand. Get our Steam Vents in. Get our Thundertrap Trainer in. Look at the top 4 cards of our deck. As much as we want this Broadside, it can't grab that. So we're probably just going to grab this Ghostfire Slice. That's a pretty powerful card. And we don't really need Probe right now. We are just going to look at the card in their hand. Extraction Specialist, that's a pretty good one. But there's no targets for it right now. We're going to draw from our Bauble and find another Bauble. That's pretty nice. They're going to make a bunch of extra mana in their first main phase. Not sure if they can use it, though. We're going to see a Mother of Runes cast. That should be perfectly alright. We're going to see Lagrella get in there with 2 counters. We'll just be taking 4. Passing it back over to us. The only card in hand is an Extraction Specialist. Express Federation's a pretty great hit. We're just going to cast that. We know this resolves, so we're going to look at our top 3. We are going to find a Magus of the Moon. So we're just going to put this Daze in our hand. This Wooded Foothills on the bottom. Exile that Magus. Now we don't actually have an island right now. So let's start by casting this Bauble. Get a trigger. We're going to draw, dump this Daze. I don't think that's doing too much right now. If we can get another Shredder trigger, it can block Lagrella. But we're certainly just casting this Magus. Playing out another Mountain. So that can cast our Ghostfire Slice right now. And we'll send it over. So we're going to be holding the Ghostfire Slice for this turn cycle. This actually does get around Mother of Runes protection. They can't get rid... this is a colorless spell, which Mother can't give. And they're just going to pass it over to us. Let's fire off a Bauble on them. Seeing a Wash Away. That is castable with their mana, but not too likely to happen. Tap, draw, main. Beautiful. We are just going to get our Cutter down. We're going to cast our Petal, trigger our Cutter to make a Monk, trigger our Ledger Shredder to give us a card. We can dump this Eyeball. We're now able to block Lagrella. This is in. We can increase this thing's power and toughness. I think we are supposed to just hold this Ghostfire Slice for next turn, but we can attack for 2 right now. Beautiful. We're going to see no block, and we can just pass it over. So they are seeing a counterspell, but the alternate cost on that is a little more than they can pay. They are attacking with Lagrella, and they're going to give it protection. That will work. We are just going to take 4 damage. Going down to 1. Little risky, but should be fine. The Bant deck over here doesn't usually play too much direct burn. And sending it over to us. Tapping and drawing. We're going to find an Underworld Breach. Should be about enough to close this game up, I'm pretty sure. We're going to cast that out. Now, we've got a lot of ability to trigger things here. We're going to cast our Ghostfire Slice on face. Trigger our Quarry Steel Cutter. We're going to attach it over to this Monk. This is a 2. This is a 3/3. This will also trigger our Ledger Shredder. We can dump this Blood Moon. And now, we can just cast Ghostfire Slice, paying red. Delving 3 cards, getting 2 more triggers. Hitting face again. And again. And again. Oh, that was a mistake. Those are supposed to go in exile. We're going to see that wash away. They can stop this part, but we can just cast Ghostfire Slice again with our pedal. And now this has enough power to bash in. That'll wrap it up. All right. Was looking like was in a pretty rough position for a few turns there, but Blood Moon coming down, stopping any of your spells. Ledger Shredder getting big enough to block your flyer, and then just Breach casting like 6 Ghostfire Slices through the counterspell.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
even without one of my 3 islands, turns out 2-color decks less weak to Blood Moon.
Yeah. And I think that boils down to like the knowledge of the matchup, because I have ways to tech against Blood Moon, and I can also just like fetch correctly for it. It's just the question of, okay, is this a deck that runs Blood Moon?
Yep.
And then I don't know until I find out. So
that's one of the nice things about the like red 2-color mid-range decks, is that they're able to Blood Moon. It's just an ability they have. Not something they always do. Not something they have to do by any means. But into a bunch of 3-color piles and 5-color piles, Blood Moon's great.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. Bit of a shame that Lagrella didn't get to really pop off, but we saw some of the potential she had with the Eternal Witness picking up Mana Drain, then being picked up by Lagrella, threatening to come down at any point if I ever want my commander back.
Yeah, and I think like Lagrella, this was definitely one of the harder matchups for Lagrella, just because of what I mentioned during sideboarding.
Yep.
Where it is just a deck that can hit Lagrella where it hurts and can easily pivot where it needs to be.
Yep, into those sort of bloated, sort of top end heavy, sort of mid range control-ish decks. Tempo can be a monster if they don't hit enough removal, especially in the more removal light versions. Not saying that Lagrella is removal light, but it's much more playing to mid range than control.
Exactly.
Like we saw the Extraction Specialist in your hand, just stranded for a while, couldn't really get a foothold until Blood Moon came down and it couldn't be cast.
Yeah. Although I did admittedly draw into Extraction Specialist fairly there. But yeah, I think before the Blood Moon, I was in a fairly solid spot overall, just because you had...
No, I was certainly behind. You had card advantage on me, you had board advantage on me. But just being able to shut down you, being able to play spells is a powerful pivot for when other decks are ahead. Especially if you can get it down early with your Lotus Petals and Simian Spirit Guides of the world.
Yeah. And hopefully there's going to be a lot more Lagrella in the future.
Absolutely. It's one of Lagrella's one of her signature decks. That's one of the ones she developed as a very anti-meta measure, where she saw a lot of big and bloated mid-range decks and decided just go above them. Do more silly things, get some more flickers in, get a bunch of ETB triggers. Deck plays Soul Herder, a personal favorite of mine. Love when that card pops up and is good. And we definitely saw how it can go wrong for Stella for a while there. Especially if your threats run out, your cantrips run out, and the opponent's able to get ahead with interaction. we definitely saw how that could very much have gone wrong if Blood Moon hadn't come to save me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think Stella Lee, like, there's currently, I think I've mentioned this earlier, there's currently three, is it decks running? Is it combo decks running around?
Stella Lee is
And
the least played of those, but it's perfectly
yes,
solid.
absolutely. But I think
Yeah.
Stella Lee probably has a lot more potential than a lot of other things because, like, with Vivi and Ral, we're seeing more and more deafening silence in the sideboard.
Yep.
And if that sticks, it is not fully impossible, but almost impossible for the combo aspect of the decks to particularly work.
Yep.
You
And
need
Stella,
very
largely unaffected,
few.
honestly. It'll hit the Underworld
Yes,
Breach and it'll shut down the actual combo side, but
yes.
all the strong
Obviously, it's
creatures in the
useful.
deck still work. Flame of
Yeah,
Ainur, Expressive Iteration, Brainstorm, Stock Up, those all still work. Stella Lee, Cast a
for sure.
Bauble. Stella Lee's a creature spell. Gets hit by High Noon, but not by Deafening Silence. That all still works. Doesn't care about silence at all.
Yeah,
I think Izzet is very much in this format a spectrum from Ral down to Vivi, down to Stella, down to like Balmor, where it
yeah.
and all the way over to like Dak, where it progressively
Mm-hmm.
becomes less and less combo and more tempo. And there's certainly range in there. A whole lot of those decks are pretty viable, pretty good, and can put out real work.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for hopping on here with me, Cosmerian. This has been a great showcase of Stella Lee and Lagrella. Thank you.
Thank you.
Back over into our wrap up over here. Now, we didn't actually see the combo go off, but what we did see is certainly threatening the combo to go off. We had the ability at points, if Stella had stuck a turn cycle, and we saw them very much have to actively pursue keeping her off the board that turn cycle, just in case we had the combo. The fair side of the deck really shone in this matchup. We saw the sort of uh, get value over them, get our Thundertrap trainer. Abhorrent Oculus was an all-star. That one very much sealed the deal on that fair game alongside Shore Up. And in game two, into those sort of more bloated mid-range control-sided decks, Blood Moon, good card. Shut off all their spells. Our deck is slightly weighted more blue than red, but it can certainly play on red cards when need be. And Underworld Breach. When you got 14 cards in your graveyard, Lotus Petal in play, that'll end games. That'll shut people out. Being able to just Ghost Fire Slice them several times, that's a great effect. So even with us very recently losing Lutri from the sideboard, Izzet still about? This is one of the sort of tier 2 Izzet decks that isn't seeing as much play as Ral or Vivi. We're still here. We're still doing it. We still got plenty of value to grind out, plenty of wild and wacky things to do with our great spells. That's been our showcase game against Cosmerian, and that'll be a wrap up. Stay tiny, folks.